All right, welcome to the Legendary Upside YouTube channel. My name is Pat Corain. I'm here with Daniel Raz. We're going to be drafting a big board team. Daniel had an article up yesterday on legendaryupside.com where he went through the entire NFL, looking at the backfields and identifying the backfields that he thought were the riskiest to invest in, given the fact that these teams are going to bring in free agents and rookies, using metrics like rush yards over expected, yards per route run, and then the contracts of those backfields to figure out who has already invested in running backs and what they're getting to try to figure out which teams will be most motivated to add a running back, and then using that to break down which backfields and which running backs look kind of safe or a little overpriced potentially, compared to the risk that you have to take on. So I highly recommend checking out that article. But today we're just going to jump in a draft. Some of that information will come up as we go. But Daniel, how you doing?
It's good. Yeah, happy with the reception from the article. I think I played it well. Had some people questioning like Brian Robinson and Ramondre Stevenson and some of those like lower price backs were questioning just is the risk priced in? And I think the answer to some of them yes, some of them no. And like saw some Travis Etienne hype yesterday, which I think lines up with kind of what I was preaching in the article. That there are backfields who are high risk, but just if that price factors in the risk or overly priced it in, as I think is the case with ETN, there's still some really nice opportunities.
Yeah, I think one way to try to think through it, your article helps people do this, is that you can like imagine what happens if Caleb Johnson or Quinshon Judkins lands in this backfield. What's the new price and kind of how different is it from what I'm currently paying? And ETN's an example where you're like, he'd fall, but not a lot. Like you're like, well, ETN's the backup. They've kind of Bigsby's probably the number 3. ETN can rotate in and do some pass catching stuff. It wouldn't absolutely destroy his ADP. Whereas you look at someone like Chase Brown, I think everyone knows you're taking on a lot of risk with Chase Brown, because if they were to bring in a Caleb Johnson, like he's falling a lot. He's falling a lot, and in an area of the draft where every pick you fall is pretty important. It's kind of exponential there. So, all right, let's go ahead and jump in. But yeah, we'll talk more about these backfields as we go. We're gonna be using the sidekick for this draft, so you can kind of see how that's running right now. It's been fun to draft with. I sometimes ignore it on quarterback, and then I'm usually regretting when I do, because quarterback remains wild in these drafts. That's something it's very different than BBM. It's much more similar to like DraftKings as far as like the quarterback thirst right now.
Yeah, it feels like a bank run at times where just once one person decides to get their money out, it's kind of you can't be the one mope waiting in line who still had their money in the
Yes.
bank when it goes under.
And the part that is kind of like a bank run or something is that it's not like you just take your one quarterback. It's that you kind of need to get like 2 to 3 quarterbacks in that range. And so as soon as the run starts happening, it might be on a different side of the board. And you're like, there are not going to be any left when it gets back to me. All right, let me share the screen here. We are out of the 110. Not a terrible spot.
No, that'll be a fun running back discussion at
It will be.
probably the second pick, but
Probably the second pick, yeah.
yeah.
It will be interesting to look back at these boards and see how much things changes among the veterans, because I think we're going to see some pretty big shifts.
Yeah, I
which
think
again goes to your article.
I mean, even at wide receiver, I think there are players of like thinking through the fragility of it. Puka Nakua is probably the biggest, where the Rams are just playing coy with what their franchise quarterback, what team he'll be on next year. And
Yeah,
I mean, it seems tough. Like Puka's price right now, in most worlds, Stafford's going to be their quarterback, but in the worlds where Stafford is not, I don't think the replacement will be that close to capturing the production, at least for Puka.
yeah. What do you have a read on what happens there?
I think Stafford probably stays. I feel like we've heard the will they, won't they, and I think it is the most pronounced this year. The possible Cup departure definitely is like stoking the fire, but I wouldn't be operating as if Stafford wouldn't be a Ram. but I also don't think Puka's ADP would move up if the status quo remains. It's like if there was a tiebreaker with another player we felt similarly on, I think that it's fine to break it the other way, assuming that their ADPs will hold. Like Jefferson, I think the market's probably pricing McCarthy, and I think McCarthy's almost certainly their quarterback. So
Yeah, but I'm tired of doubting Jefferson for quarterback play. He'll be fine.
yeah, yeah. I mean
Yeah.
McCarthy, it's younger, so there's a little volatility there, but Darnold's range of outcomes seem pretty wide going into Minnesota, and just this offense seems to really narrow the productivity of the quarterback in a very good way for the passing offense.
Yeah, I've been surprised that there isn't a little bit more concern about Puka and the Rams because I mean, part of like their offensive line is bad. So, I think what Stafford's been able to do is actually pretty impressive given that. Um, but really, I guess what I'm saying is I'm surprised Jefferson doesn't always go ahead of Puka, and here that happens. All right, so we're looking at Amon-Ra or Nico here, I
That's
think,
pretty
and
sweet.
it's pretty sweet. Um, Brian Thomas, man, that is that is expensive, but I mean, I get it. Dude's awesome, but I mean, Nico, it's like,
Yeah. You hope
doesn't it
he's
feel a little
Nico.
bit like he could be anything, even of both?
Nico come.
When,
Yeah.
yeah, like Nico's like he's insanely efficient. He's the clear number one. Quarterback play is kind of similar. Um,
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because like JJ posted his like wide receiver model tweet of like the top 5 guys ever who all happen to go to LSU. But like Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors are there. So buying high on like a group that has never busted doesn't seem like a bad strategy, though it definitely is priced in there.
yeah, I mean Malik Neighbors is in the conversation, I think. But with the quarterback play, the Giants are in a situation where the quarterback play is both uncertain and like too certain. Like I
Yeah.
wish that it's like probably it's like is it gonna be Shador or like I wish there were more options, kind of a
Mhm.
wider range. Um,
So
I don't
that
know, maybe they trade for Stafford or something. That'd be cool.
is that Kelsey at the 112?
So this is probably gonna get canceled, but
I don't know.
okay.
I'm optimistic. Like a 7th round pick in round 1, I don't think would.
Let's hope.
We'll see.
Oh boy. Someone's drafting a playoff basketball team, I think.
Just take Devon chance. Just,
Good God. All right. Okay. We'll see. We'll see, Daniel. We'll
I don't
see.
know. Like Kelsey, Worthy, Mahomes.
So
That
Shuby
would
says
be.
this is what's happening in every live draft today.
There's just one guy determined to
There's
get
just
his.
one guy who's like, I'm tell you what, I'm getting the Chiefs. Um,
This is
all
probably
right. I mean,
GT CMC.
I think GMT or CMC. Do you have a preference there?
No, would tiebreak to ADP if I had to, but gonna be close to 50-50.
Yeah. I'm down. I'm down for let's go McCaffrey.
Okay,
No, let's go GMT.
that's more
He's
fun.
just it's more fun. It's
Yeah,
more
he
fun.
could
We
be
already
anything.
passed on the young guys once. I can't do it twice. Yeah,
I mean,
Shuby
what
did call it.
isn't Nico's still 25, isn't he? Like, passed on the young guys.
Nico might as well be 35 compared to neighbors, when Shuby said this, I was like, what does this mean? And now I know. Now I know what it means.
5
It
6 turn
means
Dallas Goddard.
Kelsey Worthy hit the 1-2.
Is Mahomes more likely than 50% to go at the 3-4 turn?
Um, is Mahomes what?
More likely than not to go at the 3-4 turn to that drafter with the info we have.
I feel like he's minus 800 to go at the 3-4 turn.
What if Hurts is there?
Oh, well, that's a good point. See, Daniel's always thinking about all the angles. I was so locked in on the Chiefs part, but you're right. He could go. He could easily go Eagles. But I mean, he could have gone Eagles there. If you're just trying to get all
Yeah.
the Eagles and Chiefs, you would have gone AJ Brown. I might jump
Fun
into
time.
another draft. To be honest, this one's pissing me off.
I think we give it the 3-4 turn. Like
Okay, all right.
if he holds of just more players that make it likely to get thrown out, then yeah, the time is wasted. But if he then makes it serious, I don't think that would toss it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. I don't disagree. This is annoying. I mean, it's annoying because here's why it's annoying. I'm not willing to go, oh, this is definitely gonna get thrown out. Right? Like I'm still gonna draft the team.
Yeah, it's
And
not
I get
Justin
it.
Watson and like Will
Yeah.
Shipley at the 1-2 turn. Those are legitimate top 90, top 100 picks. So
Right. Right. So now I have to draft, but with the knowledge that it probably does get thrown out. No, don't take anything from what the guy in the 12 hole is doing as indicative of anything else that's happened. This guy. Um, Worthy's a 1-2 turn guy when Brit 200 is at the 1-2 turn and never any other times.
yeah. Anything else? I mean, Bowers that far down is pretty
Bowers
sweet.
that far down's wild. I thought
Yeah,
about Bauer. Bowers I think would have been fine at
yeah.
our
It's the
pick.
it's the second tight end off the board, practically begging us to take him. But
Second tight end off the board. That is crazy. Yeah.
I mean, if Kelsey does have a great Super Bowl, like 8 catches, 100 yards, and a score, his ADP could just absolutely shoot up.
I suppose. I mean, he might. It might shoot
Like,
up, but until the minute where he says it's been a wild run, it's been an amazing run. I can't. I can't wait to spend more time with my family. And he retires. Right. I mean, that's why he's going where he is that he's very very risky to retire.
yeah, and I guess this is where Gronk was going when he announced his retirement that year, and off the board.
Gronk was going a little later,
Okay, I
and
thought it was like pick
I can
100,
tell you. Mm,
like one round.
well, which year? Because I drafted a bunch of them one of the years that he did retire, but it was later. It wasn't at pick 100. It was like pick 170. It still hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Will Fuller and Gronk were part of the portfolio that year, and neither played
Oh,
a snap.
wait, the year? Yeah, I had some Will Fuller in like.
The year Will Fuller disappeared. Yeah.
Was that the 7-8 turn Dolphins Will Fuller or the we're on the clock McBride?
No, that was the like last round pick. Oh my god, what a smash! We'll never have a buying
Right.
opportunity like this again. Oh wait, he's retired. I mean McBride here I think is an absolute smash. McBride
Yeah,
should be a second round pick. I don't really understand why he's not.
yeah, and
This dude is awesome. He was the number one ahead of a generational wide receiver prospect. He like the choice between him and Harrison, like I think he probably is ahead again, and he has tight end eligibility. I'm in on Harrison, but like we just had this guy be really, really strong, and he didn't score any touchdowns. What if he scores touchdowns? It's kind of the James Cook, like James Cook, right? Remember,
yeah.
I was like, what if he scores touchdowns? Like this dude has upside if he scores touchdowns. Now, unfortunately, he didn't have as much upside as I hoped, but he still led the NFL in touchdowns. At the very least, it's like another reminder that touchdowns not just like are hard to predict, but can swing wildly from year to year. He's a tight end, he can score touchdowns.
Mm-hmm. And then the moment of truth here.
A moment of truth here. What's our friend gonna do? I think Mahomes. Well, probably Rashi first.
Devonta Smith's live.
Oh yeah, yeah. You don't
Could
run out
be
of Chiefs for a while, so he might be worried he's gonna not get them. George
Kittle.
Kittle.
Oh, perfect. We're in business.
This draft might be live.
Yeah, and tight end run. We got McBride past ADP.
Okay. All right.
We still have one more pick.
If anyone wants to hop in a war room with Shuby, don't do it if you're just drafting the Chiefs and burning money for some reason.
Yeah, not a Super Bowl only contest. Did get hurt.
Who'd he go? He got hurt.
I mean,
Daniel's on it, man.
if Marvin comes back to us, I think that's a windmill. I think
yeah.
Kyron's in conversation. Evans more. This is a really nice spot.
It is.
I think Zay here for that guy. You have Lamar. Right.
Zay would make a lot of sense. Oh, you want
Kyron.
Kyron. Okay. I mean, that makes sense too.
Yeah. This is a podium.
Yeah, I mean, Marvin Harrison is just an obvious pick here.
Yeah, for all the
I think he would
McBrides.
be the guy I wanted here regardless.
Yeah,
But
but then once you add the tight end, now
once you,
puts
yeah,
Murray really in play for
yeah,
us at the 7-8.
like we have him ahead in the rank in the regular rankings. We have him ahead of Mike Evans, DJ Moore. But once you add a little correlation in, he's an obvious pick. That's a nice start, man. It's a very nice start.
Yeah, seems like we were really the benefactor of the Rogue 1-2, then recover, but
No, it's
double.
just our own drafting skill, I think.
Yeah, but
Doesn't
having
have
the
anything to do with this guy.
double tight end there with us able to like scoop
Yeah,
the falling, that's pretty sweet. Some
pretty
nice
sweet.
picks. Whoever gets Hubbard in this range should feel pretty good about themselves.
Yeah, so talk to me about Hubbard. And we covered it a bit yesterday, but
Yeah,
any other thoughts on Hubbard? Because
so
I mean, like, there's a break here. There's sort of a mini tier break down. Let me just pull up the ADP. Yeah, I mean, you got Hubbard going behind Mixon and going at the end of the fourth round, kind of his own tier.
yeah, I mean, if after the draft, both the Panthers and the Texans invested like around 6 or around 7 pick and running back, Mixon, I think, is the player I'd prefer, or at least it's a much closer conversation. But I think there's basically no risk of a round 2 pick for the Panthers because they do not have a round 2 pick or a round 3 pick really because they have other needs that they really need to like fill. And you have Hubbard under contract. You can cut Sanders or you can keep him because his cap it's not that crazy for like a role that you need to fill. You're going to need that running back 2 spot. So either it's competing with Miles Sanders or a super low investment second back who's just playing second fiddle. Whereas with Mixon, I think this is the team that's probably not going to happen, but very in play to take the round. I think Caleb Johnson's probably gone by round 2, but a Hampton, maybe a Henderson, or a competent third or fourth rounder that's good enough to earn some touches.
You think Caleb goes first?
I think the Texans in the late second are a dog to have him there when they're picking.
I see. In the late second. Yeah.
I don't think if you were to give me 1.5 at running back, I think it's probably close to even money because it's like probably Caleb as RB2, but then you get like a small shot at Henderson and Hampton who aren't zeros to go round 1. But I don't think any of the other backs are more than 50% on their own to go in round 1. But I think one of them, like Hampton, Henderson, Judkins, and Johnson, one of them is like 60-ish% maybe to go round 1, but it's still pretty nebulous at this point.
Congrats to Rabona King. Placed 9th in the big board last year. Throw that when you tweet it. Throw that link in here. I'll pull it up on stream. Would be curious to see. All right. So if you're looking to sidekick right now, pretty clear where things are. Where things are, and kind of structurally. Got a boost here on wide receiver. We only have 2 wide receivers through 4 rounds, so a little bit of it. But the other thing that's happening is there are wide receivers that are the highest in ADP and that we like,
and
so that's kind of what's happening. But it's not a great time to take like another detour.
Yeah,
for running back when you have targets at wide receiver,
and especially with Ginty, Mark, he's a rookie, so the production's probably a little backweighted. He'll have touches out of the gate, but most of the top running backs, sans Kenneth Walker, are rookies, so you probably aren't wanting to double down your capital there. James Conner, I mean, I don't know how much we'd want to onslaught the Cardinals, but in the 6th, I know his ADP is a little behind, but I'd actually be fine with that and just capturing that entire offense. Yeah, I mean, we'd only be a reach by 3 spots of ADP, but once you have McBride and Harrison, we're just playing as a top 5 offense. But it's not a necessity, and there are a lot of fun wideouts here.
What in terms of the wideouts, where are you leaning?
I don't know. I think Devontae's ADP probably slides a little once he's cut and signed somewhere, but that's not a guarantee. So I think there's some risk priced in, but also some upside. I mean, I'm ready to get hurt again with Jalen Waddle and Chris Olave. Like, it's almost certainly not going to end well, but at this price, I think it's really tempting. So I'm good with them. Sidekick also has Sutton. I think that's a great pick. So a lot of good options.
I'm down with Olave. I think he's I like Pickens too. I mean, he's really good, and like the fact he might get traded, I think, is a good thing. Um, but yeah, if you're into Olave, I'm into that.
I don't think that Pickens getting traded would be a good thing. Just looking at the history of Steelers wide receivers, if they decide to move off you, I think that is more signal than noise.
Well,
Like,
fair. Although Antonio Brown was pretty productive
yeah,
with Brady. It's it seems like a personality thing, and maybe he's just sick of what's happening in Pittsburgh, which, like, frankly, I would be too. You know, just it's just sucked. Like they can't. It's just mediocrity, aggressive mediocrity. Um, and he's like really improved since he's gotten in the league. Like, this dude gets open now. He obviously still makes all the tough catches, but he's a legit downfield threat. Um, I think he wants better quarterback play, and he's pissed off about it. It's kind of my read, but obviously he might not get it. He might stay, but where is he least likely to get it? In some ways, Pittsburgh, because I think they'd probably there goes Mahomes. I think they'd probably go
yeah.
Fields or Russ again, right? That's the most likely outcome. So
Yeah,
it's there. His worst case scenario is probably a trade, but I think,
but
like,
his
on
best
average,
case is
it gets better. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It certainly widens the range of outcomes because we don't know if the Steelers are fully they have the knowledge that he's just not focused on football or some other reason that would affect his productivity in 2025. Now, oh, there goes Pickens. So curious. Maybe he
Hmm.
knows that Pickens will be a Chief next year. That would
Yeah.
be
There you go.
something. Okay. And then I mean, if we're going running back, I know by ADP and by ranks, Connor's not the top guy. I think that's still a fine pick. Sutton and Walker also great. Happy with Sutton. That puts Knicks in play. So many.
Yeah, I'd be. Well, can we push Connor? Do you think so?
No,
Connor
no.
67. Yeah, we can't. I'm down. I'm down to go off the board here and grab Connor and just build, like, this
Yeah.
onslaught. He's
What's
he's down
Kyler's
here, but
ADP
he's
again?
not. Kyler, we probably need to reach on to make sure we get him 101.
Yeah, but
Um,
that's fine. Yeah, but we guarantee get him at 87, so that's fine with me.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
at
Let's
the
go ahead and grab
ADP,
Connor.
yeah, it's not like a playoff best ball team because it's not like 10 of or 12 of the 14 teams won't be live in the Super Bowl, but our bet is so concentrated on the Cardinals that just
Hmm.
the compounding nature of it gives us like a little leash to excuse and reach by ADP.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Um, we might be. I'm gonna check where we're at on Connor in the ranks. Maybe that's part of it.
I think we
Might be
have
a
them
little
like
low.
72nd ish, give or
Yeah,
take.
we might be a little low there. Um, all right, so this is the winning big board team from last year. So, Bucky, big
Mm-hmm.
hit.
A lot of
Um,
rookies.
Malik Neighbors, yeah. Brian Thomas, Xavier
And then
Worthy,
McBride and Bowers. That's
Pearsall. Pearsall ended up being a big part of it at the end. Yeah, McBride and Bowers. Damn, dude.
yeah,
So
because
it ended up being kind of bully tight end.
the running back room in the regular season didn't do that much. Like it's pretty pedestrian, but then Bucky comes on down the stretch. JT has the massive end of season. You hit on the two of the three have to have it tight ends
So
and
it's
crush wide out.
elite quarterback,
Yeah.
elite tight end, hero running back with Taylor. You get probably what, first round pick is wide receiver, second, third round pick. I can't remember what
Malik
Neighbors fell on
was
the big board.
third.
Probably
So
third round pick. Right, Taylor would have been your second round pick. Malik Neighbors, third round pick.
Hurts or Malik and
Then
Hurts
Hurt.
3-4.
Yeah. So
And then McBride.
and then probably McBride. So we're talking about two wide receivers through probably JSN would have been what?
Seventh
Seventh?
or sixth.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Thomas
two
was
wide
later.
receivers through at least five, which is interesting. Because then wide receiver ends up being fairly strong. But because you get Thomas, Worthy, JSN at values. But
Yeah.
ultimately, Bowers ends up being like, this team is not the real powerhouse of this team is at tight end. McBride started in the 9th, 10th last year. Okay,
Jeez.
man.
So
All
this
right, I
this
didn't
must have been
remember that.
drafted. Could have been drafted like first 36 hours before ADP moved to really get that
Yeah,
puzzle.
Very interesting team.
Mm-hmm.
That's just a good ass team. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think you're. I think no one nailed it. It's just a good ass team. Um, Saquon might be a risk. Classic regression candidate. What do you think about Quinshon Judkins? So just on the risk of Saquon first, like I think there's two different types of risk. One is like, does Saquon do what he did from an efficiency standpoint? But the other is kind of like, does he get the opportunity to do that again? In your analysis, it looks like he'll get the opportunity to do it
Yeah,
again, right?
I think the Eagles would be pretty unlikely. They might spend. I mean, Shipley was what, a fourth round pick last year, so I think we could see a day 3 pick to compete with Shipley and fill out RB3. But I do not think there's a touch that the Eagles are when they're choosing to divvy up their touches. I don't think insert rookie will ever like have a case to get a touch instead of Saquon. It's just like Saquon needs a break. Let's give this to someone else, or it's a blowout because Saquon has 200 yards. So I wouldn't be worried about the investment side affecting. Definitely in terms of like skill or efficiency that could come down, but he was so good last year that I don't really have confidence in that. And then
Yeah. So I think we grab Murray here.
I think we wait. I mean, is there a wideout here that we have to have versus? Because I guess
So
the 12 hole is so irrational that we
this 12
might.
hole is so irrational that I just feel
Yeah.
like we did a thing
Yeah.
in a room where this already might be a wasted hour for both of us.
Eh, yeah. Let's just
Except
see.
for being here on YouTube with everybody. That's always nice. But this draft might be nothing.
I don't
Um,
think it gets thrown out. This seems
okay.
obviously not an optimal draft, but I can tell
Well, I'll
myself with
tell you what, Daniel. If this guy were to take Kyler Murray as his quarterback 3, then it might get thrown out because of
yeah.
my behavior following. I'm just kidding. But no, it would be very tilting. It would be very, very tilting.
Yeah, and
Um,
there are enough strong wideouts here that, given how the
yeah,
team's built.
that's what I was thinking. I think well, there goes Buka, who's probably the guy I wanted the most, but these two dudes are pretty strong picks as well.
Shahid's in play if we have Olave already. So
Structurally, wide receiver is like very clearly the right call,
yeah,
but uh I think because like the worst if you get sniped on all the wideouts, that sucks and is pretty bad. But yeah, this is a special case, I would say.
yeah,
And he goes Juwan Jennings.
perfect.
Just
Just
takes the best player available. Great.
keeping the draft in play. He has Kittle already, so again more correlation. He has the
Yeah.
Mahomes
Yeah,
Kelsey
okay.
worthy. Like we're the Chiefs going back to their 2018 ways away from this team being like a legitimate threat to advance out of round 1. And then
So apparently there's multiple people doing this because Andrew's saying this is not the same username he's seen elsewhere. I don't understand what the goal is. What why? Why do this? It's gonna. I mean, maybe this one won't. I don't know.
yeah, I mean, he just took 2 wideouts at ADP.
Yeah.
So it's this
All right. So
then.
we my move of just locking up Murray cost us. What are you thinking?
Go with Downs, Pearsall, Shahid. I mean, we can't really take a Saints quarterback, but just playing the insert quarterback is mediocre, and we have the 2 top options in the pass game. So
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I guess we take Shahid.
I'm good with Downs and Pearsall as well. Nothing's great.
Downs is like Pearsall's also. Yeah. Let's go Pearsall.
Once the Niners Cardinals Week 17 matchup, we're just like
Right.
predicting it now.
Right. Might get that correlation.
Yeah, the divisional boost.
He's like a little bit of a bigger swing, and I even though these are wide receiver 4, I feel like we're in. We have 3 strong
Yeah,
veteran receivers. So
and we have tons of quarterback outs with Stroud and Purdy are in play for us at QB, so that's nice.
now, why do you think we couldn't? I mean, I don't really draft Derek Carr, but do you not think he's their quarterback?
I think that I would like to see what they do this offseason before committing to drafting Derek Carr. Like,
Mm.
what's his ADP right now?
I mean, it's really, really late.
Yeah. So, what do you win drafting Derek Carr now? A little correlation with like on a correlated team, sure, it's probably still plus EV, but I'd rather my Olave Shaheed or Olave Carr teams to be like, okay, I know they didn't bring in a different player or that he didn't get moved this offseason in some sort of reworked like contract scenario.
Well, they
So
need to rework the contract quite
yeah,
a bit because here's his contract, and let me just zoom in here. Wait, I think I zoomed in on StreamYard. All right, so here we go. All right. Good God, what's happening?
I mean he's possible to be moved off of after this year. So with the Saints knowing that, and part of the reason we were pretty confident in Carr last year
Okay.
was because we knew in 2024 they knew he'd be on the roster in 2025, barring like a crazy reworking. And lo and behold, when he wasn't hurt, he was playing last year. But this year there is a bit of do we want to move off of him in 2026? And if so, are they going to be proactive about it or add some
But
player?
so the key number here is 50 million in dead cap. So 50 million and 51 million is your cap hit. So you're saving like $1 million
Yeah,
by
but it's
cutting Derek
the
Carr.
no, it wouldn't be a cut. It would be because they can cut him in 26. They're looking at adding a like a Rattler-esque player, maybe a little earlier in the draft, and because they know he's not on the roster next year, why would they not shut him down
What?
early?
I see. I see.
It's not
I
the
mean,
same as
it's
like
not the same as Daniel Jones.
that's
There
what I was
aren't
gonna say.
any.
Yeah, there are no
Yeah,
injury guarantee here.
there's no injury guarantees. 26 is a clean year. They're gonna get out. They're gonna save like $32 million or whatever and get out of that. That's a lock. But I don't think anyone's trading for him.
It would have to be a
So
reworked contract, but I don't think it's out of the realm. Like I wouldn't assign it zero probability. If you gave me like plus 2,500 Carr plays for a different team, I'm probably taking that. So low, remote, but non-zero.
yeah, I do think he's a risk of not playing in week 17, and that's what my main disinterest, in drafting him comes from that. But I've kind of seen stuff where like, well, we don't know who's playing quarterback for the Saints. I'm like, I think we do know
I think we do
because he
know.
has a
Yeah.
$50 million dead cap. Like they don't have a choice. They really don't have a choice. Like there's no point. You're paying Carr $50 million this year, or 51 if you want him to be your quarterback. Like why wouldn't you just have him be your quarterback then? I mean, and their cap situation is so dire. It's not like if they don't, they can almost like can't afford to bring in anybody else. If
Yeah,
they
it
were to
would.
cut Carr, it has to be a
Yeah,
rookie.
I don't think that cutting Carr is the risk. It's more end of season, like shutting it
Right.
down so that the player they bring in gets a shot. It wouldn't be benching Carr like Daniel Jones so that it doesn't trigger guarantees. It would just be, do we have something that could be an answer for the future? And based
Yeah.
on how they approach this offseason, we might know what they think there.
Yeah. I think well, yeah, I mean, I think with Carr, you're going, what are the chances that they draft someone? Because they're not shutting him down for Rattler, I don't think. We've already seen
No,
Rattler,
yeah,
and it wasn't good. So it's like, what are the chances they draft Milrow or Jackson Dart or maybe Dylan Gabriel or Quinn Ewers or something like that? It has to be someone that they
all right.
added this draft.
This
Now,
is, I think, Najee or ETN.
I think we take Golden, who is past ADP and a need at wide receiver, and then we get hopefully one of the two running backs coming back.
I think, I think the running backs are better than Golden.
Okay, all right. I think Najee is the better of the two.
Yeah, I think so too. We're getting more likely week one. I mean, ETN seems like a pretty safe bet for early season touches, but Najee's going to get a contract and be the presumptive starter and possibly just hold the job the whole year.
Yeah,
So,
Najee gets to go somewhere, and then that team is now not incentivized to draft a running back. ETN, you're holding on for dear life, hoping they don't draft somebody, but they easily could,
yeah,
and probably will draft someone at some point. So I think they're both good picks, but Najee's like maybe like a 5th round pick in Best Ball Mania. I know that sounds really gross, and I will never take him there, but um, he could end up being like the clear cut starter on the Raiders or the Cowboys or the
yeah.
Vikings. Like,
Yeah, and then
There's a lot of teams.
part of the running back suggestion was just this guy has no running backs and has 2 picks now, so hoping that whatever he does, like assuming he'll take some running backs for as much as we can
Yeah.
prescribe rationality.
What are your thoughts on this? Basically, the running back class is so strong that it'll actually hurt Najee's market.
I think there's a little bit of that, but it only takes one team to not be either as in love with the running back class or just to think that Najee's worth $10+ million. The contract projections from multiple sites have him at above $10 million a year, which isn't a crazy price tag. Like Swift and Pollard got 8 or 7.5 last year, so inflation adjust that up to 9. Najee for 1 million more seems in line with how the NFL has approached the running back position in free agency, and he's competent, so you're paying for competence, and I don't think that's a terrible move. But more importantly, I think it's a very likely move that just one team says we can either get a 1-2 punch of Najee and either someone on roster or in the draft, or
Mm-hmm.
just
Mm-hmm.
we think we can get enough surplus value out of Najee Harris on a $10 million contract.
Yeah, I think it would be a team where they're like, we need to improve the running game, and we don't love the idea of being dependent on a rookie to make that happen.
All right.
So Pittman honestly does make sense here.
Yeah.
There's upside, obviously, if Richardson misses time or somehow pulls it together, but probably misses time. And then Stroud would just lock up that quarterback. We talked about the bank run on quarterback. That could happen by the time it gets back to us at 130. What are your thoughts?
I'm good with Stroud. We have Nico, so just
Okay.
reach on the ADP, but I don't think the 2v2 is worth it in this room, especially with I think the 12 hole has 3 QBs right now and no running backs.
Yeah, I think yeah, three quarterbacks, no running backs. Again, this might be a colossal waste of our time, but we'll see.
For content.
Yeah, this is a that's fair situation. $10 million is for sure crazy in the sense that it's absolutely nuts to pay it. Not that projecting it is crazy.
Is it?
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't want to be the one to pay Najee 10 mil.
I'd rather pay Najee 10 mil than, I mean, it's tough and there is a lot of nuance. Like, what quality of back are you getting at 10 mil versus in the draft? But the second contract running back versus the rookie contract in the draft, like the whole thing with the draft is that it is very difficult to acquire like high surplus value outside of the draft. And like you can get edge rushers that on their second contracts will be $30 million players at $8 million price tags in like the early first round. Whereas you can't, like with a running back, you're getting at
And
market rate.
you get the chance to get an edge rusher that like Myles Garrett demanding a trade is, it's making a lot of noise in part because a guy like Myles Garrett is just never available in free agency or a trade. Never, those guys aren't available. Like hitting the home run at edge rusher is only really possible in the draft. Occasionally, right? If you've got a franchise like the Browns, one may become available in trade, but not free agency. So your opportunity to take the swings on the premium positions and then get that surplus value on your team is available in the draft. And so there's a lot of opportunity cost when you take a running back in the second round, not because that player won't be good or provide value, but because you're foregoing the chance to hit a home run at a really valuable position.
Yeah, thinking about, I think 2 different drafts, but Najee and ETN went 24th and 25th. And then when you look at the 4 straight wide receivers of JSN, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison, and Zay Flowers, those players are going to be, at least the ones that hit, like JSN, probably 25 to $30+ million second contract players. Whereas even if Najee hit, even if that's, I guess Gibbs is a bit of an outlier because he was so strong a player, but there's a $15 running back when it hits versus a $25 to $35 million wide receiver when it hits. So if you're making the 2v2 of that wide receiver in round 1, and then Saquon Barkley is a bit of an outlier at $12 million, but Aaron Jones at $6-7 million. The 2v2 of that is Darius Slayton money. At $13 million, it's Gabe Davis money. When you're just plugging in these 2v2s, the second contract running back isn't or shouldn't be as maligned if there aren't huge age cliff fears on 2-3 year deals.
Right. I mean, and that's what we learned this offseason, really, is that like getting these veteran running backs can really be quite valuable. And it's like, what
Even
are you giving up? You're giving up, I think it was Albert Breer was like commenting that like Saquon's contract was equivalent to what Darnell Mooney got.
yeah, it's less than Mooney and less than Gabe Davis. Maybe
Yeah.
with
So that's we've gone. I mean, now obviously there's no debate after the year Saquon had and is having. We've gone too far, but like that's it's also one of those things where you're like, yeah. When you stop and think about it,
yeah,
who brings more value to a team? Saquon is better than Darnell Mooney, and Mooney had a good year, but still,
yeah. I mean, even on a more reasonable level, like James Conner versus the Zay Jones 3 for 24 contract. Zay
yeah,
Jones was like
yeah,
true replacement level wide receiver. You'd rather your replacement level wideouts come in the draft and your productive but not remarkable running backs come in free agency.
100%. Yeah. So what are you thinking here? I think looking at the big board team that won. One thing I noticed is big swings, right? And
Yeah,
guys that shouldn't have gone there. That makes me lean towards Devin Neal
yeah.
as our,
Let's hit it.
our running back. Four.
Yeah, and then
Yeah.
we'll take one later. But
Like
fun,
Devin Neal
fun.
versus like Tank Bigsby. Like Tank Bigsby, we don't even know for sure is the number two. Because again, like they might draft somebody. I think Bigsby, I like ETN more than Bigsby, where they're going. But like Neal could be nothing. It's also possible he's like a sixth round pick by the end of the summer. Um, he could be the clear cut starter somewhere. This guy's 220 pounds and versatile. So
Mm-hmm. Really good
I'm
in
a fan of
college
that pick.
football. Really good in college football. 25. You ever run the Kansas Jayhawks? Like you can get 8-9 yards of carry with Devin Neal. That's like the
Okay.
extent. That's the extent of my scouting report. I don't watch much KU
Well,
football. But
Daniel, I've enjoyed having you contribute to a legendary upside, but it sounds like you're going to get hired by the Jets front office, quoting
I
those video game stats.
I think they really just look at Madden ratings. I don't know if they care about
Okay.
CFP 25 ratings
Well, you
yet.
could expand. You could expand the scouting process.
Yeah, to show Woody this new game. Be like, you've heard of Madden ratings. Just like turn
You're
their
gonna blow
entire
his mind.
prospecting modeling apparatus and like Arjun Menon, who like worked for PFF and does great work with the Jets analytics. I'm just like passing him notes of like Devin Neal's like a 95 in CFB 25.
Oh my god. Oh man. All right. So I think at this point we want to go receiver.
Yeah.
Um, I'm being to Kirk if he gets back to us.
Yeah.
Kirk became like last year. We were like, in retrospect, it's kind of fucked up to draft Jacoby Myers in the third round. Christian Kirk going there when he's really just Jacoby Myers. But
Jacoby
now we're
Myers.
drafting him past where
Yeah.
Jacoby Myers usually goes. Seems
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah. He's almost certainly, I think, going to be on the roster. And if not, he's still presumably a productive player. He'll land on a team. So,
right.
we have Pierce also and Harrison, who are like, I guess, bigger swings, just being round one picks off questionable year ones, like not completely uninspiring, but not.
We're also going to draft some rookies later. So
Mm-hmm.
getting a guy is your wide receiver 5, getting Christian Kirk, and then we've got 2 rookie running backs. I think the team kind of makes sense structurally. By the way, we did lose the quarterbacks. The quarterbacks.
Yeah, who would we have been looking at? It would have been what, Lawrence at the Stroud pick, or not the Stroud pick, the Neal pick.
Yeah, so Stroud was clearly the right call. Clearly the right call.
And especially like a lot of the later quarterbacks have way higher risk factors. Like Cam Ward, I think it's tough for him to move up a lot actually, but if he lands in a spot like with the Browns and they add a veteran minimum Kirk Cousins and are just splitting this year, his like risk of playing at all this year is higher. There are a lot of just those riskier quarterbacks like after Bryce Young kind of, because Young and Penix you feel very comfortable about.
By the way, we've done our duty and drafted this like it's going to count, but this guy at 12 went Hurts, Mahomes, Caleb, Lawrence. That alone is fishy, and then with the Kelsey worthy start, I don't know, Daniel. I think we might have lost the war here.
Maybe I'm too optimistic.
You are an optimist, my friend. Yeah.
I mean, he finally took a running back, so
That's true. That's true.
On the board.
Mm.
But
Okay, this is an interesting question. If a premier running back goes to the Broncos, doesn't that essentially cap the rushing upside of Bo Nix, making him unworthy of his 8th round pick? Or does it make Nix's floor even higher? I don't think Nix should be an 8th round pick. I think he is a little bit overpriced there. Now, is it egregious? Not really. It's more that I just think he's like in this mix of guys as opposed to leading the tier. I don't, but
yeah,
anyone, it's probably whoever leads that tier. I'm going to go, I don't know. Why not just wait and take this guy? Because this big group and they're all kind of similar. But um, so I kind of start from a position that Bo Nix is like probably a little overpriced to begin with. But I don't know. I mean, if they had Genty, let's say they got Genty in round 1, I don't know that that hurts Bo Nix because Bo Nix does most of his rushing as a scrambler. So it's really up to him. Like, is that a feature of his game going forward? Is that him kind of dealing with, some not seeing the field perfectly as a rookie? And it's like, okay, well, I'll just run then. And that's great. That's great for us. It's great for him. It's great for the offense. So in some ways, I wonder it'd be worse for him if they get the passing game completely sorted. If they just have like, they get T Higgins and then they add another weapon. Like in some ways, that might be worse for his rushing because it is mostly scrambling. He wasn't getting like a lot of designed yards. So I don't think a running back hurts so much, but it is an interesting thing to think through as he goes into year 2.
yeah. I mean, I'm not sure why he goes this far ahead of May. The Patriots almost certainly, like, they have to invest in their offensive skill group, and they have so many resources to do it. So it would strike me as just like the reinforcements are generally there for next. We think, and Peyton said, like the Joker role, whether that's like a drafted like flex wide receiver, a tight end, or a explosive pass game running back, or just Genty at pick 20.
Yeah, I think the best thing you can say for this ADP, and it's not a small thing, is that his offensive line is awesome. And so you get like the floor of him, playing behind a really strong offensive line, and then you have the upside of them adding weapons. The ADP probably assuming Loveland or wide receiver free agent, maybe both, but both
Yeah.
feels pretty in play. I think Iomanor here is real nice.
Yeah, let's rip it.
This dude is early declare guy at Stanford. Not like an incredible prospect, but very likely to go day 2 and pretty strong round 2 consideration. So we're pretty high above ADP here, but that's the reason. I think he's a pretty strong pick. Gives us the upside we're looking for at wide receiver.
Yeah, and then tight end can be in play for next pick if we want. I like Coker here. A good
Yeah,
bit.
Coker would be great. I also don't mind an Algier or Jalen Wright.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, we could go to tight end.
Well, we're probably done at QB. I mean, is there a third? Like round
Yeah,
round
like
round 20 Derek Carr? If or wherever
if we
he goes.
wanted to, but I don't think we need it.
Yeah.
I think we'd be okay with just
We've bet on
these
the
guys.
Cardinals outperforming.
Yeah.
Is Schultz at
Um,
tight end like the guy we're looking at?
Later, yeah. I don't think we'd grab him here.
Yeah. But then
He's
we
down
can
to
do
188.
two later tight ends.
2 later tight ends, yeah. Maybe grab a rookie.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see what this guy did. Britt grabbed Quentin Johnson.
Good pick.
This guy's toying with us, He kind of does like a good pick and then Bond. Okay, so he's back on the rails. Maybe this draft won't get thrown out. I'm beginning
Snip,
to hope
snap.
again.
Snip, snap. This is how Michael Scott would draft a.
A Coker's pretty sweet here. I'm into that.
Yeah.
Good player. Targets available. All right.
Yeah, I'm really liking how this team is shaping up. Like we have the upside shots are primarily like at running back and then a hyper concentrated bet on the Cardinals offense. Like
Yep.
Stroud, Nico 1-2. Just like they throw for 30 passing touchdowns. Nico is a top 3 give or take receiver. team tells a easily understandable story.
Yeah. Is Jalen Coker a real thing? I think he is.
He's legit. I think like Thor
Yeah.
Nystrom of Fantasy Life was beating that drum very early on in the process, and just every opportunity he got, he exceeded expectations.
He's not like tiny either. He's kind of more of the slot, but has like a little bit of size to him. So yeah, I'm kind of. The pedigree and therefore the team commitment is not high at all. But he flashes a rookie and he's available very cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like Thielen, I think, could be back, but that might not matter because Coker's 214. He's 6'1", 214. So they move these guys around the formation a little bit. They both play. Coker over Quorum. Yeah, I mean, I think we push receiver a little bit. I feel much better about our running backs than
Yeah, I think
our
that
receivers.
there are a lot of teams where you prefer Corum to Coker, but just we have some of the bets. And Neil, like he's not a contingent bet in that there's an injury to the starter. It's just contingent on landing spot right now. And if he gets a good landing spot and just jumps into competing for a 1A or a rotational role early, I think we much prefer that to Corum. Like
Yeah.
doing the 2v2 of like Rashad Bateman, Hollywood Brown, and Corum versus Neal and Coker. I feel pretty happy with the side we're on right now. But again, not like 100-0, more of just 70-30, 60-40.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, backstacks with Young.
Young goes early.
Young goes earlier, so you got to make the leap of faith that you're going to get Coker later. How are we taking Young's second half of the season?
As someone that was willing to like buy into Bryce Young before last year, it is just fully I'm willing to ignore the first half and it's just adding fuel to my priors. Like I think Heisman winner has pedigree. Everywhere Dave Canales has gone, he's helped revive a quarterback that was like written off by one team. So I'm willing to bet into it. Bryce, I mean, it's a lot of rushing touchdowns, but there was some rushing production there.
I like Jalen right here. We
Yeah.
obviously can get Schultz, but I think we get Schultz anyway on the wrap.
Yeah. This is pretty sweet. And then, yeah, I think the Panthers are. We'll have to see how they
start a new one already. This is just what's we can still talk through stuff, okay, man?
Yeah, and I also want it on record. I don't think this draft gets canned.
Yeah, Daniel's optimistic. If Daniel said to me this draft's getting thrown out, we would have started a new one. But Daniel's optimistic.
Yeah, enough of the picks. Like you can squint and get there. Like hopefully he does more running backs. Yeah. Like just Austin Eckler, Braylon Allen, boom. Oh, Braylon.
Yeah, Io Manor feels like risky as hell to me from a prospect perspective, but
Jonathan Mingo-esque.
Like Mingo Leggett kind of like, but so dude, I mean, he's gonna be a Panther. He's available very late. Like your drafting draft capital doesn't always work, but it's a good practice to be in. That's how you hit Rashee Rice, in the 12th round or whatever. Now,
Lad pre-draft. I mean, I guess
that Lad pre-draft.
Yeah. He was pretty confidently
worthy pre-draft.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we're Schultz here.
Yeah, I think we're Schultz here too. Yeah.
Yeah. There are players when like the draft capital signal is so strong. If you think the market hasn't caught up to it, you can just like get that in now. And then if you think the player will be overpriced, like Matthew Golden, I think is one that if you want to make that draft capital bet now, that's completely fine.
Make it now. Make it now. I think he goes first round. Yeah. I really do think Golden goes first round. The tape on Golden, because here's the thing, like, just listening to a lot of draft podcasts now and stuff, you do get like the reminder of what drives draft capital, and it is like traits over production, right? And that's why I think one reason that like we can add something as fantasy football players and try to like dial in who's actually gonna be good is that like you can layer on how productive were these guys, and that's sometimes not being fully accounted for in their draft capital because the NFL really does value traits. So you're going, when how is Golden being viewed? And what I'm hearing is like this guy, he has really strong route running. He gets separation. Um, he emerged down the stretch and in a way that people are feeling like, man, like I kind of wanted to see more from this guy. He's like on the rise, and he's
Yeah,
going to test well.
if you're
He's
framing
not
this
like a.
the like
Go ahead, sir.
those all those bullet points and like how his Madden or CFB rating converts like to Woody Johnson, I think Woody Johnson's telling you to draft this player round one. Like on the rise, athletic, like 80 something, maybe 90 something route running grade, like ambiguous
Hmm.
potential. I think the teams that are like looking at CFB or Madden ratings, or not just those, but like other grades and looking at trajectories, I think it's pretty reasonable to think we have a round one pick on our hands now. And even if he's a weak-ish prospect for round one picks, you're kind of accounting for that risk and some now at pick 100.
Yeah. The thing is, too, we're playing best ball, and we're not playing dynasty, right? We're playing best ball. So you think about, when do you want to fade a guy who went round one? To me, it's like, I'm not drafting Jahan Dotson, okay? I'm not drafting him in dynasty because this dude stinks. And I'm pretty confident he stinks. But you have to be really confident a guy stinks to not produce at all as a first round rookie. He's going to get opportunity to produce. So, like Jahan Dotson, fairly productive. Uh,
Even
like
Xavier Legette last year had his weeks.
Xavier
Like,
Legette had his weeks.
and
Yeah.
Rashee Rice was another where it's like the prospect's probably bad, but the draft capital and open wideout room where he was competing
And
with Sky.
Mahomes,
Yeah.
right. Yeah. So you go, I just think that when these guys bust, like think about players who are viewed as busts, like Kendall Wright, right? I don't know if people remember him, but like he was a guy I was looking at he comes up as a comp for Golden. Kendall Wright had 1,000 yards as a sophomore, and then kind of tailed off from there, and he had like 600 yards as a rookie. Um,
Kadarius
given
Toney
the
had a 180-yard game as a rookie.
Kadarius Toney is a good example. Kadarius Toney, as people know, I was not in on, but like from a best ball perspective, again, if you're getting a guy outside the top 100 picks, like, and then he's going to go first round, like he will get chances and probably have some games where he does something. Even if it's like people are going, yeah, he produced, but it was gross, and I don't think it's going to last. Like, well, it still
Mhm.
counts. It still counts as production for that year. So, yeah, I think just drafting the draft capital until it becomes prohibitively expensive, and then you're like, well, this guy not only needs to get opportunity, he needs to be good with it and consistently. And that's where, if Golden landed in a situation like Glad McConkey last year, I think I'd be in at a seventh round price, but it would take that. Like he's a prospect with some real holes in his game.
Mhm.
All right, we're up. Any of these guys you like here?
I'm pretty flexible. Like probably a little early on Carb if we want nice tight end upside swing. Secured last running back in the tier.
Yeah, I think we can. Hmm. Let's take Giddens or Tez.
Yeah, let's your call.
Giddens by ADP, and
Okay.
I haven't drafted a ton of Giddens. I'm down.
Then we're pretty set at running back now.
Yeah, we're pretty set at running back. Um, I think we can go. Let's see. At tight end, what are our options here? Yeah, I think we can wait on tight end. Um, Savion, honestly, as far as drafting draft capital goes, Savion probably makes sense. He's like a tricky one because he's kind of he's the Corley of this
Yeah.
class, which is I don't mean as a compliment. From a best ball perspective, it's like he could take a couple years to develop into something, even if he's good, because he's this tweener. So he is draftable just because he might, like he could go second round,
Hmm.
and there could be a team could have a plan for him, but
Yeah.
very low floor.
Whereas Tez, like, I mean, Tank Dell was an early third round pick if you want like a draft capital comp, but
Yeah.
that seems.
Well, there goes Tez. So I think we take Savion.
Yeah.
It's a low floor, but it's also pick 207.
And that was like
Everyone's pretty low floor.
the point of how we approached this room, or when we took our we ate our vegetables with Michael Pittman, and then
Yeah.
we're like taking this very wide range of outcome player.
What are your thoughts on Tez Johnson? The size just feels so prohibitive, even in light of some of the recent small guys who succeeded. I'm in.
Mhm.
I think at around pick 200. What the thing I try to think through with best ball is like what pays off the price, right? With Tez Johnson, 1 week pays off the price. If it's at the end of the year, 1 week easily pays off the price. And the issue. So the issue with Tez is on any given week, what's his likely route participation, even if he's good? Probably like 65%, because he's going to be like a slot, like a true slot. He's not going to be really playing on the outside at all, I don't think. So he's going to have to like draw targets at a really high rate on, fairly low playing time. But, and week to week, that's going to create some serious inconsistency, even if he's good. But man, like he looks pretty good. And so then what if can he draw 7, 8 targets in a game at the end of the season and produce after the catch on those targets? I think he totally can. I mean, he was uncoverable at the Senior Bowl. It's not exactly an NFL game, but it's encouraging. And he's just so quick twitch. You know, I think he's going to add after the catch. And
Mhm.
again, like the bar. Look, if he goes like in the 140s, I would have a different take. But at this late, you're just like, dude, score 22 half point PPR points once, and I'm stoked.
Mhm.
Like
Yeah.
that's the bar, and I think in a way he's actually kind of high floor because the time of the year that he would have the opportunity to do something like that is the end of the year, right? So if you're just thinking about please score 20 points in week 15, 16, or 17, and not all three, just one, a guy like Tez has a much higher chance of doing that than some of the guys going around him.
Yeah, and I mean, I know we just laughed at the Jets for like using Madden ratings, but like, in college football underdog ADP, he was a first round pick last year. Part of that obviously is just with how the Oregon offense operates, but the productivity potential is there. I mean, Ollie Gordon also was a very high pick and bottomed out. But like, if we want to look at like just putting our narrowest like goggles on, and like Chuba Hubbard also being an Oklahoma State prolific back that bottomed out their final year. So I do wonder if there is something like these uber productive college players, like there is in sometimes the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so wait, we're talking. Michael Pittman had played through a fracture in his back.
Is a bacchiotomy a medical term? I'm no doctor, but
I don't know. I don't know if the bacchiotomy is bacchiotomy. I believe is a meme.
okay.
Not a medical. I think it's a meme. But he did play through a fracture in his spine this past
Mhm.
year.
Which would make sense. We were low on him, thought he was relatively overpriced last year and just a fine player. Got like the receiver 1B type contract, but was drafted much more than that. But he was not this bad in other years of his career. So
Right, right. Mason Taylor was the guy I was hoping would come back here, but Elijah Arroyo also. These two guys are uh, big Senior Bowl winners. Arroyo is your Michael Golden uh, traits guy. Matthew Golden, sorry, I said Michael Golden.
mhm.
He's your traits guy. Didn't have a lot of production, but some of it was due to a knee injury, I think. And he kind of got better as his career went on. And then Mason Taylor's like your do everything son of Jason Taylor, football dude. Uh, you know, do you want to grab one of these guys here?
Yeah, we can flip a coin unless you have a preference, but feel happy with that
Uh,
as the upside tight end 3.
I think we grab Arroyo as just
Okay.
like the bigger swing.
hmm
We have like we don't need it at all, and
But
so it's like, what if this guy's awesome?
there's nothing we like really had to have at that pick. So
No,
and then here, any wideouts catching your eye?
I think Jalen Noel, he he played with Jaden Higgins in college, and some people like him more than Higgins. Um, and he had a really strong Senior Bowl week, so I think he's interesting. And then if we wanted, I don't think we need the running back. It's
I
kind of a
don't either.
luxury pick.
I think we're
Yeah,
playing with how the Cardinals operate. Connor, Najee will be a starter at the beginning of the year. Then with
right.
GT and then one upside shot, at least connecting with our three late.
In terms of draft capital spent, you can certainly justify it, but I agree when you look at the room, it's like you don't really need the running back. Um,
How's team 12 recovering? Are they what, like a 4-5-8-3 with a running back here?
yeah, I mean, structurally, it's a mess, but it's not a complete mess.
Yeah.
So, do you want to take bets on if this? I think this does get thrown out. I think it's. I think. I don't think. I think the Kelsey Worthy start put him on thin ice, and he went smashing through the ice the second he took four quarterbacks.
I don't know. I don't think it gets thrown
Okay,
out.
all right. I hope you're right.
Yeah. Like I'm not trying to actually put any money if someone were like offering me plus 100. So that might say something. But
uh,
yeah, I mean
yeah.
the
All
team.
right, let's review this team that will definitely be in the tournament and will definitely not get thrown out in about an hour. Kyler Murray, CJ Stroud. Feel good about that as a two quarterback build. Um, Ashton Genty, James Conner, Najee Harris, Devin Neal, Jalen Wright, DJ Giddens. Thoughts on that running back room?
Feels good. I mean, Genty we're playing is the like not necessarily a Saquon Barkley-esque rookie year, but that's certainly in the range of outcomes. Well, I just hope he goes. Well, like the best spots are like the Bears, the Broncos. There are a lot of nice spots. So not the Jets, basically.
Not the Jets. Please, not the Jets. Nico Collins, Marvin Harrison, and we've got both those guys. It's always fun when your top two wide receivers are paired with the quarterbacks. Chris Olave, Ricky Pearsall, Christian Kirk, Alec Manor, Jalen Coker, Savion Williams, Jalen Noel. This is a very fun wide receiver room.
Yeah.
Nice mix of upside and some
I,
stable veterans, some risky veterans, some second year guys, some rookies. Feels good.
yeah. And then tight end, Trey McBride, Dalton Schultz, Elijah Arroyo. And then realizing I said we had Michael Pittman meant Christian Kirk. Very easy to get that archetype mixed up. But just like ate our vegetables with the projectable volume bet that's probably a little underpriced, but doesn't really have a
Right.
ceiling. But then we got, anytime you can draft those players without the faces yet, you can just like tell yourself any story. So
You
that's
really
kind
can.
yeah.
They
Like
don't even
Josh
have a face.
Downs in year 2, because he still didn't have his photo. Sky's the limit.
It was a good. He was a good pick, Daniel.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to get the faceless men. It's important. All right, I think we're gonna call it and hope. We'll just hope that this draft counted. But if not, hopefully, hopefully you guys still enjoyed the discussion. We'll be let's see. Next week, I'm gonna be doing a podcast with Eric Froton, talking through the rookie class. If you guys caught that one last year, Froton had a ton of really actionable stuff, some of which I ignored. He's like, "Don't draft Troy Franklin." I was like, "Okay, guy." you know, um, he was not super into the running back class. I think less into Jonathan Brooks than I was, which aged pretty well. Um, so yeah, I highly recommend checking that out. Very excited. I don't really know where Froton's going to be on a number of these guys, so I'm excited to check that out. But Froton does a ton with like weekly props on these guys, so he's been tracking them. He's been predicting successfully what they'll do week to week. So just a wealth of information coming for us there. And then yeah, I'm going to be starting up writing about the rookies pretty soon here. And we'll be continuing to jump on and draft some teams every week, and enjoy this early drafting period. But thanks again for watching. Make sure to check out Daniel's article. Really can't recommend it enough. It's a fun read, and I think you'll get a better sense of the draft landscape from it. See you guys soon. Later.